Welcome to a chilling exploration of one of America's most haunted and infamous landmarks, the haunting of Eastern State Penitentiary. This video takes us inside the walls of Eastern State Penitentiary, a massive and foreboding prison located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Built in the early 19th century, the penitentiary was designed to reform prisoners through solitary confinement, but its history is filled with tales of suffering, despair, and supernatural encounters. Join us as we delve into the eerie history, ghostly sightings, and spine-tingling stories that have made Eastern State Penitentiary a hotbed of paranormal activity. Imagine walking through the dark, narrow corridors of an abandoned prison. The air is thick with the scent of decay and the echoes of long-forgotten cries. As you turn a corner, you feel a sudden drop in temperature, and the hairs on the back of your neck stand on end. You hear faint whispers and footsteps that seem to come from nowhere. This is the haunting reality experienced by those who find themselves in places where the past lingers. Shadows dance at the edge of your vision, and a chill runs down your spine. By many visitors to Eastern State Penitentiary, a place where history and the supernatural collide. Our journey begins with the founding of Eastern State Penitentiary in 1829. The prison was the brainchild of the Philadelphia Society for Alleviating the Miseries of Public Prisons, an organization led by prominent Quaker reformer Benjamin Rush. The society sought to create a new model of incarceration that emphasized penance and rehabilitation rather than punishment. The result was a sprawling, fortress-like structure with a revolutionary design. Individual cells arranged in a radial layout, resembling spokes on a wheel. Each cell was equipped with a small exercise yard, and prisoners were kept in solitary confinement for the duration of their sentences. This isolation was intended to encourage reflection and repentance, but in practice, it often led to severe psychological distress. Many inmates experienced mental breakdowns, hallucinations, and despair, creating an atmosphere of suffering and anguish that would leave a lasting mark on the prison. One of the most notorious inmates to be housed at Eastern State Penitentiary was Al Capone, the infamous Chicago gangster. Capone was incarcerated at the penitentiary from 1929 to 1930, serving time for carrying a concealed weapon. Unlike other prisoners, Capone's cell was furnished with luxuries such as a rug, a desk, and a radio, leading to speculation about special treatment. Despite his relatively comfortable accommodations, Capone was said to be tormented by the ghost of James Clark, one of the victims of the St. Valentine's Day massacre. Fellow inmates reported hearing Capone screaming in the night, pleading for the apparition to leave him alone. Another infamous inmate was Slick Willie Sutton, a notorious bank robber known for his numerous prison escapes. Sutton's time at Eastern State Penitentiary was marked by a dramatic escape attempt in 1945. Along with a group of fellow inmates, Sutton dug a tunnel under the prison walls, using spoons and other makeshift tools. The tunnel was discovered before the escape could be completed, but Sutton's ingenuity and determination added to the legend of the penitentiary. The conditions at Eastern State Penitentiary continued to deteriorate over the years. The practice of solitary confinement was eventually abandoned, and the prison became overcrowded and increasingly violent. Inmates suffered from inadequate medical care, brutal punishment, and harsh living conditions, contributing to the penitentiary's reputation as a place of misery and despair. By the time the prison closed its doors in 1971, it had housed over 80,000 inmates, many of whom left behind a legacy of suffering and unrest. The abandonment of Eastern State Penitentiary only served to enhance its haunted reputation. The crumbling walls, rusted cell doors, and overgrown exercise yards created an eerie and foreboding atmosphere. Paranormal investigators and ghost hunters were drawn to the site, seeking to uncover the spirits that were said to linger within its walls. One of the most haunted areas of the penitentiary is Cell Block 12, known for its disembodied voices and shadowy figures. Visitors have reported hearing whispered conversations, footsteps, and even screams emanating from the empty cells. Some have seen apparitions of former inmates, their faces twisted in anguish and despair. The sense of unease and malevolence in Cell Block 12 is palpable, making it a focal point for paranormal activity. Another hotspot for ghostly encounters is Cell Block 4, where numerous sightings of ghostly faces have been reported. One particularly chilling account comes from a former guard who claimed to have seen a shadowy figure glide past him, disappearing into the darkness. The guard was so shaken by the experience that he refused to enter Cell Block 4 alone again. Visitors to the area have also reported feeling sudden drops in temperature and the sensation of being watched. The infirmary, where sick and dying inmates were housed, is another area rife with paranormal activity. The sounds of coughing, moaning, and shuffling footsteps are often heard, as if the spirits of those who suffered there are still present. One of the most disturbing experiences reported in the infirmary is the sighting of a ghostly nurse, her figure shrouded in a white uniform. The nurse is said to tend to the spirits of the sick and dying, a haunting reminder of the suffering that took place within those walls. The infamous death row, where condemned inmates awaited execution, is another area steeped in ghostly lore. The oppressive atmosphere and sense of dread are almost tangible, and visitors have reported feeling an overwhelming sense of sadness and fear. The spirits of those who face their final moments in death row are said to linger, their presence felt by those who dare to enter. One of the most famous ghost sightings at Eastern State Penitentiary involves the figure of a man in a white coat believed to be a former guard or warden. This apparition has been seen by numerous visitors and staff members, often appearing in the central rotunda or near the entrance. The figure is described as tall and imposing, with a stern expression, and his sudden appearance has startled many unsuspecting visitors. The ghostly activity at Eastern State Penitentiary is not limited to specific areas or cell blocks. Throughout the prison, visitors have reported a wide range of paranormal phenomena, including unexplained noises, cold spots, and the sensation of being touched or pushed. The presence of spirits seems to permeate the entire structure, creating an atmosphere of unease and mystery. The nighttime tours, in particular, provide a spine-tingling experience, as the shadows and silence of the abandoned prison come to life with ghostly whispers and apparitions. In addition to ghost tours, Eastern State Penitentiary has been featured on numerous television shows and documentaries dedicated to the paranormal. Programs such as Ghost Hunters, Most Haunted, and Paranormal Lockdown have conducted investigations within the prison's walls, capturing eerie footage and compelling evidence of ghostly activity. These shows have helped to cement the penitentiary's status as one of the most haunted places in America. The history of Eastern State Penitentiary and its ghostly legends also provide a unique opportunity to explore the broader cultural and psychological significance of haunted places. The stories of suffering, despair, and supernatural encounters within the prison's walls reflect the complex interplay between history, memory, and the human psyche. The haunted reputation of the penitentiary serves as a reminder of the dark chapters in our past and the ways in which the spirits of the past continue to influence the present. As we delve deeper into the haunting of Eastern State Penitentiary, it is important to consider the broader context of the prison's history and the experiences of those who were incarcerated there. The penitentiary's radical approach to incarceration, with its emphasis on solitary confinement and penance, was intended to reform inmates and promote rehabilitation. However, the severe psychological and physical toll of solitary confinement often led to mental breakdowns, despair, and violence. The suffering and anguish of the inmates left an indelible mark on the prison, creating an environment ripe for ghostly legends and paranormal activity. The haunted history of Eastern State Penitentiary also raises important questions about the ethics and effectiveness of incarceration practices. The use of solitary confinement as a means of punishment and control continues to be a controversial and debated issue in modern corrections. The experiences of the inmates at Eastern State Penitentiary serve as a powerful reminder of the potential psychological and emotional impact of isolation. It also highlights the importance of humane and rehabilitative approaches to incarceration. In addition to the individual stories of suffering and despair, the history of Eastern State Penitentiary is also intertwined with broader social and cultural developments. The prison's construction and operation reflected the changing attitudes toward crime and punishment in the 19th and 20th centuries. The shift from public punishment to the privatization of incarceration the rise of the penitentiary as a symbol of state authority, and the evolving understanding of criminal behavior and rehabilitation all played a role in shaping the history of the prison. The haunted legends of Eastern State Penitentiary also provide a unique lens through which to explore the cultural and psychological significance of ghost stories. The tales of ghostly encounters within the prison's walls tap into deep-seated fears and anxieties about suffering, death, and the afterlife. Ghost stories offer a way to make sense of the inexplicable and to connect with the past, providing a sense of continuity and meaning in the face of uncertainty and fear. As we conclude our exploration of the haunting of Eastern State Penitentiary, it is important to recognize that the stories of ghostly encounters are ultimately a reflection of the human experience. The tales of suffering, despair, and supernatural encounters within the prison